Hello everyone. In this video, I will be talking about the most common F1 visa interview questions and answers. Visa interview is a very important day. It is a very big day in your life, and based on how you perform in your interview, your future, whether you will study in US or not, that depends. So, it is important that you prepare really well for the interview, and I will help you with that through this video. Let's get started. To effectively answer interview question, it is important that you understand visa officer mindset. So he is trying to evaluate you whether you are a genuine student or not. Because the thing he is looking at, see, this is a student visa interview, and they don't want a potential immigrant. So that is why he's trying to understand if you are a student or not, if you really are a student, if you are coming there just to study and not to permanently settle in United States. You should remember this is a non-immigrant visa, which means that you should go there and study. That's it. And if you indicate to them that you have other plans, you want to go there and settle, you want to work there, then visa officer is going to refuse your visa. Second thing that he's trying to evaluate is that if you have sufficient fund with yourself to finance your trip or not. So if you don't have fund with yourself, let us say, and if you go to US, there are chances that you will go there and work because you don't have fund to finance your duration of a stay in US. Third thing that the visa officer is trying to evaluate you on is if you are going to return back to your home country upon completion of your education. So these are three things that you need to keep in mind. Your answer should reflect that you are a genuine student. Your answers should reflect that you have fund to finance your duration of a stay in US, and your answer should reflect that you will return back to your home country. Before I start talking in detail about questions, there are five kind of questions that they can ask you. First type would be about US, about universities. Second type would be about again your funds, your sponsors. Third type of question could be about your academics, what you have done in your bachelor's and about your CGPA. Fourth type of questions is about future plans. So future plans basically means that once you complete your education, what are your plans? So remember that we have talked about that you should indicate to them that you will return back to your home country. And fifth type of question I have categorized as general questions, which means that they could ask about anything. They could ask you about your family. They could ask you about your travel history. So when you go for your visa interview, most probably the first question will be which university you are going to. So this is very simple. You just need to mention that you are going to this university, and it's pretty straightforward. And then they could ask you, how did you hear about this university? It is again very simple. You can tell them your source, from where did you hear about this university. It could be education fair, it could be from your mentor, your professor, or from US News website. Now this question, why this university, this is very common. Most probably they are going to ask you also this question. Why do you want to go to university? Why specifically this university? So what I see students doing is that they go to university website, they read the about section, and then they just mention that. So they say something like this: the university is well reputed, the course is flexible, but this is not the right kind of answer. The reason why this is not the right kind of answer is that because the visa officer hear this kind of answer very often, and they know that students are not giving them a personalized answer. This is a very repeated answer, so this is generic. And when you answer this question, why this university, this should be personal to you. Why do you want to go to that university? This should be a personal answer and not a generic answer. So even if your personal answer doesn't sound really nice, it is still better than saying something like the course is flexible, the university is well reputed. So I'm not saying that you should not go and read the about section of university. You should, and you should. If there is something unique about unique features of that university, you should mention that, but make it personal. So when they talk about why this university, think of it as why this course. So if you're going for to that university, you are going for some program. So why are you going for that program? Think about that. So, and note down some highlights of that university. You can do it from their website. So make it personal, but remember some facts. Remember about alumni profile, any extracurricular activities they are offering. So this is simple actually. Why are you actually going for that university? Talk about uniqueness about that program. Talk about a strength of the program. Any extracurricular activities as I have mentioned already. So you will find a lot of answers if you just search why this university. But visa officers have heard that answer very often, and they know that everybody is saying that, and it sounds very robotic. You don't want to sound robotic, right? Give a personal touch to that answer. Say it in a way that will make them believe that this is the reason why you have chosen that university. A follow-up question could be they could ask you why not other universities. So this is again very simple. When they talk about why this university and why not other university, talk about the program, talk about the course that this university offers something that you were not able to find in other universities. Next question they could ask you is that how many universities did you apply to? Again, this is very simple. If you applied to 6 universities, simply tell them that you applied to 6 universities. And the reason why they are asking you this question is because if you remember, I told you that they are trying to check if you are a genuine student or not. And a genuine student usually applies to a lot of universities. So this is their intent behind this question. Next question could be why did you apply to these many universities? Again, you can have a lot of answers for that, give your own reason, but the simple answer could be that a lot of these universities were offering a similar program, and that is why you shortlisted these universities for the course that you are going to pursue there. Next question could be which universities you got acceptance from. So it's okay if you got acceptance just from 2 universities. You can tell them that I got acceptance in those 2 universities, but then they could ask you again a follow-up question also just to unsettle you, like only 2 universities. So it's okay for you to say yes, only two. It is not an issue, so don't panic. Next question could be what program you're applying to. So this is again a very straightforward question. If you're doing MBA, tell them that I am doing MBA from this university. If you're doing a master in computer science, tell them that you're doing that course. Next question could be why this course. So if you remember that when we were talking about why this university, I told you to think about the course. Why are you selecting that course in that university? So a lot of these questions are very similar in nature. The answers will overlap for all these questions. When they ask you to say why this course, so if you are doing MBA, you have a reason why you are doing MBA, and the reason is that you want to do well in your career. So tie it with your career, tie it with your future aspirations. So your course, whatever you are saying, should align with your future. And again, remember your future in your home country. So if whatever course you're doing, you want to learn about that, and then you want to come back to your home country and do well in your home country. And when they ask you about your course, remember the program structure, remember about every subject that you're going to study, and remember why you are selecting that course. This is you are the best person to know that. And remember the facts from the university website and any extracurricular activities that and this course is offering you. Next question is that what would this program do for you? This simply is asking you how will this program benefit you in your future. So if you are going to do MBA, and if you're working in your home country and now you're going to do MBA, so talk about something like I'll return to my home country and I'll start working, and once with this degree I'll get a promotion, and that's it. Like you are tying it to your future, and then you are showing them that you'll go back to your home country as well, and then you are telling them that you'll work for a company. It is better if you take some company name like you worked in India for Deloitte, and upon completion of your MBA, you will come back to Deloitte, you'll get promoted. You can talk something like that. Another question that they could ask you, why USA? As I've said, a lot of these questions are very similar. Answers will overlap. So why this university? Why this program? And now why USA? You can tell something like this. US is more research centric. You like the method of teaching in US, and your lecturer, your seniors, they have recommended this. They could also ask you why not other countries. Again, very similar question. So you can talk about that the quality of education you feel is higher in US, and you can also talk about again the method of teaching. You prefer the method of teaching in US. They are more research centric. Your lecturers, your seniors, they have recommended you that US you should go and there study. See, these questions are very similar, and answer to these questions are very similar, but I want you to have like what kind of varieties they can throw. So they can also ask you, why don't you study in your country? So the answers are simple. Highlight the difference in the quality of education in your country and USA, about the course structure, and for that you need to understand the course structure. That is why go through it. Talk about research centric, uh, talk about that the education focus on more practical aspect compared to your home country. And if whatever program that you're going to study, they don't offer it in your home country, you can tell that as well. Now this question is for those who wants to change their field of study. So it is okay to change field of study, but you should have a reason for that. Maybe you are an engineer, and then now after working you want to do MBA. So they'll ask you that, why are you changing this field? Why do you want to do MBA? So you should have a very solid answer for that, and you can tell something like that. Maybe after getting industry exposure, you realize that this is something that you want to do. Maybe you can talk about that you did a lot of research and you feel that this in your interest lies in this field and you want to pursue that. So it is okay as long as you have a good reason for that. It is not an issue. They'll also ask you a question on your academics, that if you have completed your graduation, they'll ask you a question, when did you complete your undergrad? It's very simple answer. Why do you have a gap year? If you have a gap year, you can tell something like that you were doing research, you were preparing for studies, for example. If you were, so again, according to your own situation, you should have an answer for this. If you have a gap year, again, another question could be, what did you study in your bachelor's? So very straightforward answer. What was your CGPA in bachelor? Very straightforward again. What will be your major? So this is something like what are you going to study in USA? Which subject? What program? So whatever your answer is, you should know something about that. So they could ask you about that. So I've seen them asking people a lot of question on the subjects that they have studied in their undergrad, as well as on the subjects that they are going to get major in. So if you're going to study marketing, make sure that you know something about that. And if you're go and they could also ask you about the subjects that you have studied in undergrad. So make sure to revise at least the basic concept. If you are a working professional, then they could ask you a lot of questions about your job profile. So you should be thorough with that, and it should be very easy for you. About your job title, why are you leaving that job? It is a self-explanatory. Like they'll obviously ask you, why are you leaving that? So tell them that you want to further your education, because you feel that once you get that education, this will help you in this job, whatever you're doing right now, and then you can come back to your home country, you can get promotion, and that's it. They could ask you about your salary. They could ask you how much experience do you have. So according to your own situation, you can answer these questions. Now they can also ask you questions if you have got a scholarship. Again, if you have, please tell them. If you have a sponsor, they'll ask you who is your sponsor. If your father is your sponsor, tell them that your father is your sponsor. Then they'll ask you a lot of questions about your father. Be prepared for that. So follow-up question could be, what is your father's source of income? Again, very simple question. If your father is getting monthly income from, say, if he's a manager in bank and is getting monthly income, tell them. A sponsor annual income is straightforward. What is your sponsor occupation? So they could ask you this question, and when you answer this question, just don't mention like he's in business or service. You need to give them details about it. You need to talk about his job, talk about where is he working. So answer like this: he's a manager at name the company. It's a good one because you are telling them he's a manager. You're talking about his company, and if he runs a business, tell that he runs this business. Talk about, say, if he's running a furniture business, talk about that. So this is how you should answer these questions. Next question could be, can you show me your bank statement? So your father bank statement, obviously. So show it to them. If he finds any large transaction in the recent times, so they could ask you about that. So be prepared for that. You can answer if you sent all this money from your own different accounts, your own father different account, you can tell them to have all the money in one statement. Then they could ask you questions about your tuition fees. Tell them what is the tuition fee of your school. They know it, they have your I-20, but they'll still ask you this question. And then they could also ask you that how will you cover your living and accommodation expense for entire duration. So they have your I-20, they know if you are able to cover it or not, but they'll still ask you this question. So tell them you have your bank statement, your father will sponsor you, and if you need any money, they are going to provide it to you. And don't give any speculative answer like I'm going to get a part-time job, and then if I need any money, I'll be able to get money. So no, your visa will straight away be rejected if you talk something like that, because they don't need any speculative answer. They need you to have a fund with you to finance your stay in USA. Now the next set of questions that they could ask you is to check your future plans. So let us say, for example, right now you're going to US for your bachelor's. So they could ask you that, do you plan to pursue a master's or PhD in USA? And I would suggest, don't tell them that you plan to pursue. Tell them that once you uh, complete your education, you will come back to your home country and you will contribute there. And you have family living, bring your family as well. You have your parents living there and you want to be with them and you want to work in your home country. A very similar question, what are your future plans? And as I have mentioned, tell them you're going to come back to your home country, work there, you have your family living there. It is very important that you tie it, you show very strong home ties, because home tie, a weak home tie is a reason why most visa get rejected. So you should show a strong home ties. What are home ties? Home ties is basically something that connects you to your home country, like your parents. Like if you want to work in India, get a job, say that I'm going to work in India, if assuming India is your home country. So those are your ties to your home country. So always show a strong ties to your home country. And when they ask you about this question, what are your future plans? Talk about your home. Talk about your home country. Don't tell them that you're going to get work in USA after you complete your education. Maybe you want to get work in USA after your education. Don't tell them that, because they are going to straight away reject your visa. And they could also ask you a very direct question like, do you plan to return? Do you plan to work while studying in the US? So tell them that your focus is education. You're going there to study. They could also ask you that, do you plan to work in US after graduation? The answer you should tell them obviously is no. I don't plan to work in US after graduation because I want to go to my home country. I want to be with my family, and I want to work there. It's better if you can name a company that you want to work with in your home country. That is always better. They could also ask you questions if you have taken GRE or GMAT. They could ask you about GRE GMAT score. They could ask you about your IELTS TOEFL score. Now these are some general questions that they could ask you, and I've seen them asking these kind of questions to a lot of students. So if you're going to Texas for your education, it is very important that you know about Texas. So something little bit about Texas that if you know it, they could ask you about, do you know anything about Texas? So they could ask you question on the city your university is in. Remember that. This could be one question. They could also ask you what attract you to US. This is again as simple as why US. So I've already talked about that. Remember that those answers. How long do you intend to stay in US? So if your program is for 2 years, tell them that you plan to stay in US for 2 years. They could also ask you about do you have family in US? So remember, this only means about immediate family, your father, your mother, and your siblings. That's it. Don't talk about your distant relatives if they are in US, because if when they ask you, do you have family in US, and you tell them yes, they'll ask you a lot of follow-up questions. So if you have immediate family in US, tell them that you have family in US. If you have distant relatives in US, it is okay for you to say no, I don't have family in US. Other than this, there are different types of questions they could still ask you. They could ask you about your visa refusal. They could ask you about your travel history. For visa refusal, it is important that if you have had previous visa refusal, you should be able to tell them that something has changed this time, and you have all the say documents ready, and previous last time maybe say that you were not able to communicate yourself, and this time you have all the documents ready. So this is it. If you like my content, please subscribe my channel, and I'll be posting a lot of content on a student visa. And thanks for watching. Thank you.